Gymstrodamus was right, and time has borne out. So you may have seen the viral clip of some unnamed gym bro who just in September 2020 just laid out what would happen with the vaccines and the pandemic and all of this stuff, and how it seemed to be an obvious attempt at increasing state control and the reduction of people's financial status into a form of neo-serfdom. And, well, time has kind of borne this out. Let's play the clip.
So they tell you have to wear a mask. Next, they're going to tell you have to contact trace. Then they're going to tell you have to take the vaccine. And because Canadians like to do what they're told, they're hoping that everyone just complies. And then guess what, kids? Once you take your vaccine, like a dumb person that doesn't know any better, they're going to tell you, sorry, the vaccine isn't as effective as we thought it was going to be. So now you still got to wear your mask, still got to get contact trace, still have all the restrictions and social distancing, and still take your vaccine. And then what did you get out of all of this? You got a whole year where you weren't allowed to travel, your business was closed, they took your rights and freedoms, they forced a vaccine on you, and what happened? The same amount of people died. Everything is the exact same. And now they're going to put you back on lockdown and bring it all the way till July of next year so they can do the same thing again. Bring you from July, August, and September, getting you off lockdown, but just to bring you back on lockdown again. If you idiots haven't figured it out yet, it's a perpetual cycle that you never get out of. And it's a way to take your rights, your freedoms, close your business, take your wealth. Why? So you become dependent on government. Why? If you're independent, the government works for you like it's supposed to. If you depend on the government to give you a paycheck to feed your family every month because they closed your business on you, now the government doesn't work for you. The government rules you. So instead of a middle class, we have the government, upper class, and the lower class dependents that rely on the government to survive. In other words, we have a slave class. And that's what they're trying to do. It's that simple.
Pretty based, really, isn't it? Because, frankly, most of that seems to have happened. So let's just go through some of the points and see if we can substantiate anything you said. So you may recall that this was something that was being pushed back last year. You know, everyone should wear a mask. And, of course, this led to them saying, well, we should have had mask mandates. If we get to the next one, they would have saved thousands of lives. And so the general sort of view of the intellectual class is that everyone must wear a mask. This was literally on the same day that he said that. By October, they were like, oh, masks are shown to reduce the spread, which I'm sure they do. And on the 7th of October, Italy had a nationwide mask mandate. Come the end of October, the Wall Street Journal was demanding that America had a national mask mandate. And March 2021, Biden was still saying the same thing. National mask mandate. And of course, we've been wearing masks everywhere, obviously. We've had to until very recently.
Inside stores and restaurants and
just everywhere.
The stupidest thing is like when the table's just there and they're like, yeah, please put on your mask to walk 3 steps to sit down.
Yeah. And then you can take your mask off. So, right. This isn't about whether I've spread any coronavirus, is it? That's the point. But he was right about the contact tracing, of course. In Britain, we had a contact tracing app that was unsuccessfully launched at the beginning of May last year. Didn't work. We can get to the next one. So that failed. But by September 2020, after that guy, we had the new contact tracing app that apparently worked. I never got it, and I don't see why anyone would have done. But anyway, moving on. It turned out that by October, we found out that data was being sold on. Can you believe it?
What a shock.
Can you believe it? Legal experts have warned of a privacy crisis caused by a rise in companies exploiting QR barcodes to take names, addresses, telephone numbers, and email details, and then passing them on to marketers, credit companies, and insurance brokers. A shock. What a shock.
I could have seen this coming.
Yeah, reputable journal The Lancet was demanding better contact tracing because apparently we weren't contact tracing nearly enough. And by the 22nd of October, it turned out the contact tracing wasn't even working. Didn't even do anything. Experts say the figures show the £12 billion system was struggling to make any difference in the epidemic. But at least a bunch of companies got to make loads of money out of your personal data. You didn't make anything out of that.
But they also stole your money in the form of tax revenue to pay for all this.
Oh, of course. Obviously this is all paid for out of public money, which means by you. By the 26th of October, France had their own contact tracing app, which I'm sure loads of people used. But apparently in this contact tracing generally, many places failed. Most countries didn't get it right, didn't work. Some did, though. Brilliant. Britain was not one of those countries. We are currently in the grip of a pingdemic because as we covered a couple of weeks ago, the contact tracing app decided everyone was pinging now, and everyone was, even people who are like near each other but through a wall were considered to be in contact. And so the contact tracing apps, while people are for some reason still using them, are ruining the supply chains of this country. Brilliant. Anyway, moving on to the vaccines. So, if you go back to, say, April 2020, you had Fauci and others like him saying, well, they're expecting to have a vaccine in 18 months. That's risky. That's risky. It's like, that's weird. That's a very weird anti-vax position that Fauci and others had taken. And on the 9th of September 2020, Biden was like, yeah, well, I'm a full anti-vaxxer as well. It's going to be a Trump vaccine.
Oh, they were doubting it was going to be done, and then also they were saying, well, if Trump makes it, I don't trust it.
Well, incidentally, that's exactly what Kamala Harris said the month afterwards. Almost to the day, Kamala Harris was like, I won't take the vaccine because it's Trump's.
What a pathetic reason not to trust it.
Yep. At least the first reason is like, look, getting a vaccine out in 18 months is risky because these things normally take a decade.
So that's one reason.
That's a good reason.
Second reason of being Orange Man bad is
Yeah, exactly. Orange Man bad. Oh, Trump's going to try and kill us all with vaccines or something. But who knows? But anyway,
she didn't get banned for this opinion either.
No, of course not. No one on the left gets banned for their opinions, really. In January, the vaccine started rolling out across the world. There were 3: the Pfizer, Moderna, and a few others. Okay, and then by now, hundreds of millions of people have been vaccinated. If we can scroll down just so we can see the graphs, you can see, there we go. You can see where the vaccines are being used. Mostly the Western
countries that paid for them.
That's right. Yeah, the countries that paid for them mostly have been vaccinated. But huge.
Sorry, personal gripe with Vox here, being like, well, all the poor countries haven't been vaccinated. It's like, yeah, because they didn't pay to produce the vaccine, did they?
That's true.
Get what you pay for.
But the question, the point raised by Gymstrodamus was, are the vaccines going to then be called less effective, and so you'll have to carry on doing all of those other things? Yes, that did happen. The first one we've got here is from January, where it turned out the vaccine was less effective than expected. Oh dear, exactly as Gymstrodamus predicted. And of course, we can go to the next one. In July, the Israeli data suggests that there's a waning effectiveness of the Pfizer vaccine. So Israel are giving you your third dose. Everyone's getting third dose. Oh no, it's not everyone. It's 60 years old and over is getting the third dose. We can go to the next one in Israel. There we go. There's CNN confirming that. So they're going to... I imagine these are going to be like yearly vaccine doses at some point, just because there's a lot of money to be made in vaccines.
Well, I mean, for the extremely elderly, you could make an argument why they get the the yearly flu vaccine. Because you're extremely old, high chance, therefore it might be worth it.
And if I were a Pfizer executive, that's exactly the argument I would make while getting fat stacks of cash.
Well, no, the question I think has to come as to where do they draw the line? Do they continue to say that no, 12-year-olds need to get it? Because for the elderly, obvious argument, high chance of death. 12-year-olds, not high chance of death. Not even registrable chance of death.
And yet they're still pushing for children, and children to be masked as well instantly. But anyway, other major nations, we can go to the next one, are going to be giving everyone vaccine boosters. So we're going to be paying for these vaccines forever, I imagine. Again, if I worked at Pfizer or AstraZeneca or Moderna, I'd probably be thrilled by this because that means lots of money.
What's their stock doing?
And as Gymstrodamus said, they don't care. It doesn't matter. You've got vaccinated, you're masked, and you're still going to have to social distance. And the CDC and World Health Organization have indeed said you should wear masks indoors even if you're fully vaccinated. Why are we doing any of this then?
So Jimbro was right.
Yes. This is why it's Gymstrodamus, not just Jimbro. He's been upgraded. He's a legitimate prophet now.
Gymstrodamus.
Yes.
Oh.
And of course, they're going to force the vaccines on you. We already know this. You can see arguments being made why COVID-19 vaccines should be required for all Americans. And we had recently Bill de Blasio saying the voluntary phase is over, as we covered yesterday. So the voluntary phase does appear to be over, especially if you work for the military, which is going to be, the US military is going to be ordering vaccines. We had the same thing happen in Britain when we had a naval convoy or something. Everyone on it was vaccinated and a bunch of them tested positive for COVID. Never mind. Employers are going to make the vaccines mandatory as well, and they can. Experts say, apparently. So legally, they can force you to take these vaccines. And so the question is, are we going to go back into lockdown now? This is where Gymstrodamus was slightly inaccurate, but perhaps we should say ahead of the curve. So here's a list of US states that locked down. If we can get to the next one. Almost all of them.
So some element of lockdown here in each one, I assume?
Yeah. I mean, it obviously depends. It varies. Like California and New York had much more strict lockdowns and for longer than Texas or Florida, but there were lockdowns everywhere. But yeah, so in the United States, Biden has actually said that he doesn't think there will be another lockdown. He can't mandate them anyway, so don't know how he plans to do
This
that.
is why there was a lot of weirdness in trying to blame Trump for the virus. It was like, well, I don't have any powers.
Yeah,
Like, it's up to the governors.
That was exactly. Like Trump was like, don't lock down, and also I can't make them lock down or not. It's not my choice. But yeah, so even despite the new Delta variant going around, Biden has apparently said there won't be more lockdowns. But we had obviously multiple lockdowns in Britain and in other places. We had the third lockdown over Christmas. For some reason, the BBC, if we can go to the next one, didn't consider that to be the third lockdown. I don't know why. We had one at the beginning of 2020, one like halfway through 2020, and then one over Christmas 2020. So he was right about repeated lockdowns, just not in the United States. And like I said, for some reason, the BBC didn't consider that to be the third one. And so on July the 19th, Freedom Day, which is where most of the restrictions were lifted, we were being told, there's going to be 100,000 or 10,000 extra deaths or a day or whatever it is. Didn't happen, obviously. And this means that they've been predicting more lockdowns for us. Well, since we've already had 3, who knows? France as well has had a third lockdown as well. This happened in April this year. So it's not like he was wrong about repeated lockdowns. It seems that most of the world has had repeated lockdowns. And so he was like, well, the deaths are basically the same. Oh, that's a strong claim. Let's have a look. Well, this is the death rate in the United States. We can get the picture up that I put in the Discord just because it was an easier way of representing it, because this is up to the current day. Not tremendously different. As you can see, that's deaths per 1,000 people. And so going back to, say, 1950, it was like 9.5. And then the lowest it is 8, or just above 8. And at the moment, it's just about 9. So, I mean, it's been pretty consistent that whole time. And that's the 2021. Just saying, where are the excess deaths?
Don't know if you were going to mention it or not, but also Israel, their lockdown they're about to go into or have been in now. I don't know what the status is because I don't keep up with the Israeli news that often.
Yeah.
But what is it, like 99% or 90% of the population of Israel vaccinated?
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, lockdown.
Yeah. Don't know why. In the UK, we can see the mortality rate in the UK over time, which, as you can see, from 2015 to 2020 was a very, very small increase per 100,000 in the population. A very small increase. Not a significant increase, I would say. Puts the UK back at the mortality rate of below that of 2005. If you were presented this graph just in isolation, would you know that there was a pandemic? And so we got an email from an anonymous subscriber who had sent we actually have their details, but we're going to keep their redacted. But they sent a Freedom of Information request to the National Health Service, asking them, I'm doing some research under the Freedom of Information Act. I'd like to supply me the following information. How many people have died in your hospitals from COVID-19 alone, as in they died due to COVID-19 and not from some other comorbidity? And so they replied with a lot of information. And the answer here, they say, there have been 3,656 people who have died in hospitals in England where a positive test was received within 28 days of their death, and they did not have a pre-existing condition recorded, up until and including 21st of July 2021. Just saying, Gymstrodamus made a few good points. Moving on. Wealth transfer. Are they going to take all your wealth? Are they going to create the billionaire class that, I don't know, may fly into space or something, while the rest of us are slaving away on the earth?
How's Bernie Sanders doing?
Yeah, exactly. How is Bernie doing? Well, the answer is, of course, yes. Billionaires have gained literally trillions of dollars. And this has been widely reported. I mean, like The Guardian. I don't know why I used the Mother Jones link here, but the next one, if we can go to that. Yep. The number is staggering. Yes, it is. And the question is, how has this affected the small business owner? Well, not well. Not well at all. And this was from September 2020, that nearly 100,000 businesses in America had shut down due to the lockdowns, and they're not reopening. And the next one is a CNBC one that suggests that 60% of the business closures due to the pandemic, meaning the lockdowns, the government action, are now permanent. So 60% of small business has been closed. Trillions of dollars has been shifted to the most wealthy people in the world, and to make sure that the peasants aren't in revolt, the government has been printing money like never before. Apparently Americans got $3,500 to just sit at home and do nothing, because that's sensible. So I just want to say, it seems that Gymstrodamus was absolutely right about almost everything, in fact. Like, almost perfectly correct as well. So he's like, wear a mask, contact trace, take the vaccine, be told it wasn't working, wear mask, social distance, contact trace, and the vaccine, have it forced on you, back in the lockdowns, same amount of deaths, perpetual cycle you never get out of, to take your rights, your freedoms, you close your business, take your wealth, and become dependent on the government. I still can't travel because I haven't been vaccinated, and I'm not going to allow them to do it to me. So yeah, it seems that we've lost our rights, we've lost our freedoms, we're losing our money, and it seems that this may well have, whether it was intentional or not, produced the exact cycle that Jim Bro was prophesying. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 PM UK time on lotuseaters.com.